Here in front of me, I have 3 power supplies from Vitoos, a company whose slogan, "Power Your Music," fits perfectly as they specialize in pedalboard accessories and power supplies. And let me tell you, they make incredible power supplies at that. There is a rumor floating around on the internet that these are made in the same factory as a well-known American company who also has their power supplies specifically made in China. I wouldn't be shocked if Vitoos were inspired, because these are solid, like really solid, and I'll be showcasing how great these are in the video a little bit later, but I'll say it a bunch of times throughout the video that they're great. This is probably my most used piece of gear for 2024, and here's a quick TLDR. They're really great. Don't sleep on them. They're budget friendly without the budget quality, and they f***ing rule. Now, first and foremost, this video is not sponsored by Vitoos. I simply chose to use their power supplies because I wanted to. I started with one and it quickly exceeded my expectations. After running it non-stop daily for almost a year at this point, I was absolutely sold. I was sold 2 weeks in, but now I'm really sold. And while the sleek and nice design aesthetics are all icing on top, the main reason anyone buys a power supply is for its features, which this offered everything I needed and then some. Doing everything perfectly without issue, but more importantly, staying silent as hell while powering my mothership of a pedal board. Prior to getting these, there was so much war and chaos and just so much inefficiency on my previous setup. It was driving me insane. The disorganization from cables and multiple extra pieces of equipment that were far from optimal, it was killing my workflow in any way that it could. So after daily use of this, I not only became familiar with the product, but genuinely confident in its reliability. It quickly earned my trust, and so I decided to fully commit to the Vitoos brand, and I picked up 2 more to power my entire board. Now with 3 of their supplies, my setup is not only functional, but it works the best it ever has, and I don't regret making this decision in the slightest. Now, Vitoos are based in Shenzhen, China, which means their products are also manufactured there, as noted on the packaging. They proudly display their company name and social media handles on the box, letting you know that they're a company that's proud of their business. When you do eventually open up the product for the first time, the inside packaging does live up to the first impression that you see, which to me was essentially premium tier product. The inside is just as beautiful as the outside. Really does double down on that premium feel, almost giving Apple or Michael Kors if they made pedal power supplies. I would never consider Vitoos in the realm of cheap and dismissible had you told me that this had the same legacy as Strymon, Voodoo Lab, or OneSpot. If you said, "Oh, did you pick up the new Vitoos piece? It's amazing," I'd say, "No, what is it?" And I'd believe you that you told me it's a great brand, because it does feel like a great brand. It's got great performance, great reliability, and an awesome feature set, and sat next to other premium brands, it really does feel like a premium brand. So if that rumor is true that these are being made in the same factory as another American-made power supply made in China, well, then it wouldn't shock me, because this does kind of look like similar American-made power supplies made in China that have really great performance at just half the price point, because it's direct to consumer. So, direct to consumer. Since Vitoos operates out of China, they run a direct to consumer business model, cutting out the middleman. At this point, the only way to get your hands on one is through a wholesaler app like AliExpress, where I bought all 3 of mine. You will not be able to find these at Sweetwater, Guitar Center, or even Amazon yet, despite the Amazon button on their website that states otherwise. Hopefully that changes in the future without compromising the product or the price. Now, because Vitoos does ship from China, you will have to expect a 2 to 3 week delivery time here in the US. My shipping times personally ranged from 11 to 17 days from the time I pressed order to having it on my doorstep. If you are in a rush, this might not be ideal, as there is no 2-day prime shipping here, but the wait is absolutely worth it for the product and what you're getting, especially at the price. I cannot speak for other countries, but I did not pay any extra fees or taxes. What the Price was, when I pressed order, was what I paid, and all three of them cleared customs in a single day. So the overall experience was rather quick, despite it being not so quick in the long run because it comes from China. I've seen these power supplies pop up on Reverb from time to time, usually marked up in price. I can't say if that's due to someone who already has them in stock and they're just selling them for more money with a faster shipping time and you're paying for their inconvenience of having them on stock, or if it's sellers just drop shipping them from China. I would just recommend going through AliExpress like I did, because after purchasing 3 units directly from them, I can confidently say I've had 0 issues, whether it be financial or with shipping. Of course, with any overseas order, your experience may vary, but mine was flawless. This is coming from someone who orders a ton of from AliExpress. Now, if Vitoos could partner with Amazon or become more accessible in the US while maintaining their current price structure, I'm positive that they'd become a #1 contender for best-selling power supply. I haven't had to contact their customer support, but from what I've read online, they stand behind their product. People have reported getting refunds really easy, and their company has over 900 units sold on AliExpress in the last 180 days. Plus, they've been in business since like 2014, so they're not new to the game of online sales. As to why I bought 3 Vitoos power supplies, there's really only one reason, and that's that my massive studio board with almost 30 pedals demanded it. I needed something that can handle everything from 7 all the way up to 450 milliamps with high quality and good reliability at an affordable price. And trying to find a pedal power supply that ticks all of the boxes that I needed is almost impossible. There's 100% going to be compromising, but I wanted to do the least amount of compromising as possible. I needed other features like variable voltage, 9 to 18 volts, and a USB input for the underboard LEDs because I'm extra as fuck. Most importantly though, I needed it to be dead silent and fully isolated, because this is a studio board that is always on and at my feet for when creativity strikes, but also I run a bunch of stuff through pedals. I do the mostly analog thing, and I need it to be just the way I need it. This did that. Vitoos nailed all of that with these 3 power supplies. The AD and DD series have slight differences. I opted for both because I wanted the best of both worlds. The AD series includes that USB input, which the DD series lacks, but the DD series offers higher output and more ports than the AD flagship version. This setup future-proofs my board and covers just about every pedal scenario possible if I ever decide to switch things up. Now, one thing to note when ordering from AliExpress is to make sure to select the correct plug option for your country. If you choose the wrong one, you will need to buy some sort of adapter, which is just an unnecessary hassle. Vitoos offers a variety of plug types, which is super awesome, so you should be covered no matter where you live in the world. Just double check before you order to avoid any headaches. Jumping into the unboxing, you can tell right away how premium this thing looks and feels for being a, quote, budget-friendly power supply, unquote. The weight to it, the packaging, as you've seen a lot so far as I ramble on and on, are killer. It's not eco-friendly or frustration-free packaging. It's got a lot for you to get your paws on, so let's go in. You've got the instruction manual that does take a few minutes to read, gives you mostly what not to do and how to select the different voltages where applicable, but it's fairly straightforward. You should read it anyway. Included are the power adapter, which I'll discuss further, along with the necessary cabling. The main unit itself sits prominently within the box, and beneath it there's a pleasant surprise of cable holders and Velcro for convenient mounting. Subtle yet thoughtful, very mindful, very demure. Upon closer inspection of the box that the power supply itself comes in, the attention to detail and packaging becomes really evident, that they have taken a lot of care to ensure everything arrives to you in pristine condition. This speaks volumes about the company and quality assurance. The unit itself, though, looks amazing. It is sleek, it is modern, it gives that Stormtrooper, that hospital white, sterile, bright light look. A lot of people love it. I'm not so much of a huge fan myself, but to each their own. The craziest thing here, though, is the cabling that they give you. They give you an impressive amount of cables that are more than sufficient for any setup. The only caveat here is they don't give you an Ibanez 3.5 millimeter cable. They do give you the 9-volt, though. They include a total of 14 DC cables, 12 that are 24 inches, one that is 36 inches, and then the short one that is just 12. These cover the unit's 12 outputs with an extra for any potential oopsie daisies. Additionally, you do receive a voltage and current doubler, as well as that 9-volt battery adapter that I was just talking about, and a reverse polarity connector. As mentioned earlier, there are also those cable holders and the Velcro strips that they include to neatly organize everything above and under your board. Now, the power adapter, which serves as the power brick for the power supply, is this sort of sleek laptop looking charger. One end connects to your ICE cable, the other goes to the power supply, and your power supply is powered. This is just for the DD series. Now, one thing I'm going to mention here that's incredibly important is that each power adapter that is provided for the DD series unit you purchase is specific to that DD unit, the one that it's provided for. They're not interchangeable. You cannot use whatever for whatever. Do not be a silly bear and fuck it up, because you could potentially damage it. Now, talking about the quality of the provided cables, these are so good in comparison to previous cables that I've used. Like, this is in comparison to the old power supply that I was using. Just the thickness difference right off the bat was night and day. It just made me feel like what I was using prior was garbage. I will keep them in a drawer for like an emergency, but knowing that that's what I was using before and this is what I'm using now, it's like, man, feels bad. It sucks because you never really want to invest your money on things that aren't fun, right? Like a power supply or a tuner or a noise suppressor, or even compressors, right? Like, you know, they're not like a fun pedal. You know, you want to be able to have something that is like, oh wow, this is neat and cool and does something awesome. This provides power. And while it's not something that, you know, you're going to want to dump hundreds of dollars into, you have to. And this is sort of where I was taken back and went with the Vitoos, because I wanted something that was built like a tank, that was going to be reliable, that was solid, that felt good in my hands, that looked good on my board if I was going to look at it. You know, I wanted it to be a premium product, but I just didn't want to spend that money. So I think Vitoos solved that problem. Side by side, these things look great. They feel amazing in your hands. They're metal enclosed. If you were to step on it or drop it, you know, the floor is going to take damage too, right? These just give a really good feel, and that's part of why I was so happy with them right from the time I took them out of the box. I'm just a YouTuber. This isn't a sponsored video, so I can say whatever I want about the product. It's a great product. It gave me the opportunity to not have to spend a lot of money on something that isn't fun while still being reliable and being what I needed. And I use these every single day, literally for hours a day. You know, sometimes 4 to 6 hours, sometimes 12 to 15. I've had them on for 18 to 20 hours, no issues ever. They do get warm like any other power supply because it is a electrical current, but other than a little bit of warmth on your board, nothing. It's awesome. It's so great. It does exactly what I needed to do. I don't see it in the bed anytime soon. And if it were to start having some problems, if there were some issues in the upcoming months, I will update this video. I will go ahead, change the title, say something like, these pedal power supplies suck, don't buy them, and then make a tag right at the front of the video to click on the new video where I update my experience with them, and I'll go ahead and make it really well known that I don't with this brand anymore. But I don't see that happening because my experience thus far has been really good, and usually if I make it to the first year without any problems, then it's solid, especially with the amount that I use them. So let's get to the noise factor or lack thereof. So that's a good thing in this case because these things are, as I mentioned, noiseless. They add no noise to your signal chain. They add no noise to your pedals that may or may not already be noisy, which is great, exactly what you want. So I'm going to go and show some examples here. The setup for this is just pedal board, guitar, reamp track going into the pedal board, and then from the pedal board out of the Universal Audio Golden into the stereo configuration, stereo pedal board, left and right, being put into the set of Neve pre's that I have, and then you're going to hear that DI audio, and then I'm going to split it up so that the left ear is the original DI, totally unaffected, and then the right ear is going to be the Neve DI, so you can hear the comparison, how it adds no noise at all, and just really great power, noiseless power, high quality power to your products, your pedals. You want them to keep your pedals safe, you want them to keep them powered. That's what this thing does, and that's what it's all about. So let's jump to the noise section so you can hear that. So now I just want to show you what it's like to run this through my pedal board with effects on live. Here is the DI. Reamped with effects. Notice how when I stop the reamp, it's just dead silent. There's no noise, and that's a mix of digital and analog. I got the ISP decimator on for my noise gate, but the majority of that signal was the Dream 65 Universal Audio, the Golden by Universal Audio, the Boss DD200 for a little bit of delay, and then the distortion was the 1981, so kind of ratty. Here I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to apply more effects. and just a couple of more interesting effects thrown in. The primary distortion tone that you just heard was the Boss DA2, the adaptive distortion, which is a digital distortion. I love the way it sounds. It's one of my favorite Boss pedals, but it is digital. And when you heard the wah kick in, the wah was analog, and the flanger kick in, that was analog too. But there's also the Wampler Ego compressor on as well, which is giving it a bit of a squish, and that is run at 18 volts currently for me. So you know, just a mix of pedals thrown in just to show you that no matter what you throw at this thing, it's going to stay dead silent. Again, it does what it's supposed to do. It powers your pedal board, and it does it the best way possible with no noise. Again, no reliability issues. I've had this thing on running daily. I jam every day. When I'm not jamming, I'm reamping things through this. And it's been really, really good to me. It is a solid investment purchase, and it is a solid product that I really can't say enough good about. I will buy more if I need to for whatever things that need power in my studio, without the worry of potential noise being generated in the line when I'm running a mix of digital and analog pedals. But yeah, you just heard it, so there you go. Well, I use this to power the majority of analog pedals, which don't really use a lot of draw. This can do all the digital stuff with no problem. I do have a Universal Audio Golden on my board, and currently the UA Lion, which you see here. I have used it with the Anti as well as the Dream, no problems. I used it with a ton of the Boss, like high-powered digital stuff in the 200 series as well as the 500 series. Again, no problem. Any other Boss, you know, single enclosure pedal, no problem. Even some of the crazier loop station stuff, again, no problem. Awesome. I've got two whammies on my board, does those both on the same unit with no problem, and a couple other various digital effects throughout, including the really high powered 300 milliamp Walrus Audio Canvas tuner, which I know a lot of people don't like that it's 300 milliamps. When you have a power supply that can pump that with no problem, it is not a problem, and therefore it's just a way for you to continue to simp when you're playing guitar. Now, as far as other stuff goes that's outside of the scope of kind of normal pedals, like the HX Stomp or like the Hotone Ampero, it does do those as well. I have used it to power an HX Stomp and a couple other various amp sims, and it's good. It does it with no problem. The only thing there, you might need to purchase a couple of different cables. I had to do that a couple of times on my board. I have the Electro-Harmonix Qtron Plus, which uses a big nasty wall wart. I didn't want that, so I got a voltage doubler. I got the two channels that I'm not using 12 volts each, turned them into 24, and this specific cable that I'm using also has the power change, the inverter on it, so it is just one cable that goes into two slots and fixes it. You may need to do that for some of the older Line 6 stuff, as well as the newer Line 6 stuff that requires a little bit more voltage, and you're good to go. This thing pretty much does cover the ground, and if anybody has any questions about what it will or will not cover, I will try to respond and do as much math as I can for you to figure it out. You may need two slots, and then double those. I don't know if that's the right way around it or whatever. You may need some sort of special cable configuration to get your desired outcome if it's not what I'm using or similar to what I'm using, and I will try to help with that. I know probably one of the common questions is going to be like the Eventide or the Quad Cortex, like can it do that? I totally think it can. You're just going to need to get a bunch of voltage and doublers and amp doublers and all that good stuff. It's going to be a bit of planning out, but I'm pretty sure it can do that. I believe it uses like 2000 milliamps worth of power, so they're 500 each. You probably need like 4 cables. That's a lot of power, but it can definitely do that. It's doing it for me. Just instead of 1 pedal, it's 4. I think it's good to do that. If I ever get a quad Cortex, I will totally test that, but I do not have one now, so can't do much with that for right now. Everything I've thrown at it though, it's been great for, and it works for me. Like I said, again, for the millionth time, it is something I recommend, and I would definitely say invest in if you need a good power supply. It definitely punches well above its weight. So final takeaways. Do I recommend these? Yes, absolutely. I think they're a great option for anybody and everybody who needs a really solid power supply for their pedal board. These things are just great at what they do for a really good price, though I'll caveat that in a second. So yes, I would absolutely be using a Strymon or a Walrus Audio if money allowed for it, but you know, this was what was in my budget. I needed to power a bunch of pedals on my board. I needed specifics that a lot of stuff didn't have. These hit every checkbox I needed, and because I didn't want to go all out and spend a ton of money, I didn't. I got these, and I'm extremely happy with what I got, and I think everybody would if that's what they got. They look great, they feel great, they sound great. They're just truthfully a premium product. Now, as far as cost goes moving forward, I don't know, you know, they're made in China. There's the China tariffs that are being talked about. I don't know if that's going to affect the price of these. They could double in price and triple in price. Shit, Strymon and Walrus Audio products could double and triple in price. I don't know. But as of right now, this is being shot from the span of September 2024 to December of 2024, where I'm releasing it, end of the year. And, you know, for the amount of time that I've put into this, the price hasn't changed. Obviously, pay attention to the price, look it up. But for what, you know, you're getting for the price to performance value, it's a no-brainer to pick one of these up if you need one. If you found this video at all helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. Put that algorithm to work. If there is anything I can do to help you, please let me know as well. I'm here to try and build a positive pro audio community where everybody just helps each other and lifts each other up. Any way that I could help make that become a reality, I'm absolutely going to gun for it. As always, thanks again for watching, and be safe, dudes.